everybody. Welcome to another MoGraph podcast. The thing's messed up again. Sorry. I'm still trying to figure out all my boops and bops from the last time it crashed. Barton right now is a tiny, thin thing right now on video. I'll fix that. But yeah, super excited. It's a really crazy show this week. I am super honored to have all these amazing people here. Sorry, I'm fixing some of my stuff live. Here we go. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. There we go. There's Barton.
There we go.
Yeah.
Go.
All right.
Come on, buddy. Come on down.
There
it is.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Score.
Nice.
Yeah, still trying to fix some bugs, but yeah, super excited. It's going to be an awesome show. We've got three amazing studio owners from some of the best studios in the world, and I'm really excited to, kind of get their thoughts on the industry and etc. But first off, I'll introduce everyone. We've got, first up is Barton Damer from Already Been Chewed. Super excited to have you here, as well as PJ Richardson from Laundry, and Patrick Coffey from Tendril. So yeah, super excited to have all y'all here. But first up, I want to give a shout out to our universal sponsor, Otoy. You know them, you love them. They're the makers of Octane Render and the Render Network. With Octane, you can create super photorealistic renders incredibly fast. And for those renders that need a little extra push of power, Render Network has you covered. The Render Network allows you to render your Octane, Redshift, and Blender Cycles frames in a fraction of the time and a fraction of the cost of other cloud rendering services. Make sure and give them a try and give them a shout out. Tell them thanks for sponsoring all things MoGraph. But yeah, we are here. All right, I came back to it and everyone's at the right size. Cool. But yeah,
Hooray!
I'm super excited to have y'all here. I guess to start off, for those who are unaware of like all the different studios and what y'all did and how y'all got up to this, this grandiose studio ownership. Give us each just real quick summary of like how you got started and how the studio came to be. Barton, let's start with you.
Cool. So I'm Barton Damer, owner and founding artist of Already Been Chewed. My background is in skateboarding and filming and editing skateboard videos. Blew out, tore my ACL, tore my meniscus multiple times, had surgeries multiple times. And in the course of those injuries, I still wanted to stay involved with my friends who were skateboarding. And so that's how I started filming and editing them so I could still hang out with them. And through the course of filming and editing, learned what motion graphics was, realized that I really liked creating the little intros for the skateboarders more than I enjoyed logging their footage and keeping their footage organized. And I have a graphic design background. But that kind of led into video, which led into motion graphics, which led into 3D animation. And then 15 years ago, launched out on my own as a solo artist, freelancer. And then just over the last 15 years have been slowly and organically just kind of asking myself the question of what would free me up? What kind of person do I need to hire to free me up? Is it a modeler? Is it a Houdini artist? Is it a project manager? And just kind of asking those questions, but have never actually worked for a large studio before, and was just kind of just using the street smarts of trying to figure out what would help me as I grow.
That's awesome. That's awesome. PJ, what about you?
To be honest, not a very different trajectory. I started as a graffiti artist in San Francisco in the late '90s, and then quickly was pointed out that it may not be a long-lasting career, mainly because I wasn't super good at it. And so I went to art school and was like, I could draw a tulip in high school. This will get me into art school, and got there, and pretty much ever since then, in every which way, continually get humbled by what I thought was a great idea in my head compared to the reality, and art school no less, and got into my last year. I got into first graphic design and then motion design, which didn't really exist at the time, but there was an inkling of it, and So I went to go work at a very reputable branding studio in New York right out of school. Realized I culturally wasn't a fit, but found this renegade motion graphics studio in LA that was doing a lot of X Games graphics, and went there and kind of found my people. And really, ever since then, was doing MoGraph, and then ultimately second half of the career really got into more into 3D because I like the freedom of it. Um, and then about 20 years along the way there is when laundry became took form, and which I'm a co-founder and lead artist and creative director at currently.
Awesome. Patrick, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't come at it from graffiti, though I do love graffiti. Uh, came at it more from the technical side. I was like a math, computer science major, did my honors thesis on 3D computer graphics when we were still like figuring out better ways to put them up on the screen. I ended up transitioning into a sysadmin and then a technical director for a company called Topics, which was one of the Canadian originators of 3D animation. Um, and then just kind of kept going from there. I found that the more into it I got, the more I liked making stuff with the tools than I did coding stuff. All the way along, I'd also been doing a lot of design work, mostly on the side for like, I did a lot of after hours parties, flyer design. I think a lot of people got into it in that way, little promos, fashion design. I was doing that sort of thing as a hobby. And then I was like, the computer will help me with these tools so much more. So, yeah, so then I was, working my way through the industry, did some time in film for companies like Mr. X and so on in Canada, and then got plucked out of it by one of the partners and founders of Tendril, Kate, to start a VFX company, an artful VFX company. And while we were working on stuff with a company called Naked, two of the principal artists there, my partners Chris Bowery and Shanji Torres, came in and we did a job together, and we were like, wow, you got the same sensibilities as me. I got the same sensibilities as you. We're not happy where we are. We want to start our own thing. We were like, come on, let's start something together. And that's kind of how Tendril was born. And we ran with like 3 companies for a bit and then merged them all into Tendril. And that was about 15 years ago and never looked back.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
PJ, how long has laundry been around?
20 years
Okay.
this year. Well, 21 technically.
Okay, so PJ's got everyone beat, just so we're aware.
Yeah.
Wait,
You can drink now.
your timeline jumped around a little bit, Patrick. How old is Tendril technically?
Tendril's technically 15 years old.
Okay.
We're going on 16 now. Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, first question that I have for y'all, I'd love to know how y'all see the general state of the industry right now, especially with the 3 studios being in such different locations, with Tendril being Toronto based, right? And then, PJ, the LA scene, Barton, Dallas, so more central. Each of those individual places have very unique things, and I'm curious if that has affected your kind of view of the industry, or whether it's like, no, because, especially after COVID, so many clients are now willing to do remote work and stuff like that, whether you haven't really seen much of a change.
Cool. Real quick, let me just clarify. PJ, you also have a location in San Francisco as well, and Patrick, you have a location in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I would love to know.
We're all over the place.
Yeah.
It's a tricky question. I don't think it's changed since COVID. I would say we benefit from local work, like in San Francisco and New York and LA, where we have teams. But then on the other hand, there's a tremendous amount of our work just comes from anywhere, really. It's not really So it kind of goes both ways. I will say that, like ad agencies, for instance, probably find all of our work from faraway places wherever they are. And then for film, we've gotten calls from faraway places, but usually it's local because we're in LA, and we find ourselves into those projects just kind of word of mouth, maybe a little bit easier.
Hmm.
Um, but on the
I
other
think
hand,
that
I think, like, I don't want to speak for someone else fully, but I do think it would be harder if we were solely like in a very far away place trying to crack into these markets in the US that tend to have pretty good budgets. Um, so
Patrick, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I think post-COVID definitely helped us in that, um, we don't do a lot of Canadian work, ironically. I think it's, mostly because we're competing on a global stage now. The Canadian budgets are a little bit smaller. I think when the Canadian companies and agencies kind of get the budget to work with us, then they get so excited of working abroad. So it's a pretty typical Canadian thing to not be valued at home. But we used to have to travel a lot more. Um, and then suddenly it was more open, especially with Zoom calls catching on. Like I remember doing all the phone calls beforehand. You'd all be sitting around the speakerphone, talking into it and saying, "Go to page 6 now. Do you see this up in the corner?" So that's really leveled the playing field. And I think the thing that's really happened is opened up like all these different time zones. It's kind of nice being Eastern because we can stretch to like, the Western, United States, and we can also stretch over to Europe. So
Hmm.
there's something nice about that. I know that some of the directors we work with on the West Coast have a hard time with European work, and some of our European friends have a hard time with kind of West Coast US work.
Yeah. Barton, what about you?
Yeah, for us, pandemic did change things quite a bit in a good way, because when I started out, it was relatively unheard of to be working with companies that are in Portland or Los Angeles or New York, and I'm based out of Wiley, Texas, a suburb of Dallas. And so, oops, sorry about the, let me. So, when I first started ABC, that was really, really unusual, to do that, and I left. I still do leave our location off of anywhere, like so nobody knew where ABC was located. They all just kind of assumed we were Los Angeles or New York. We even had a client that we had worked with regularly that invited me to go get coffee with them in Los Angeles, and I was like, well. I'll be there in about 2 months. I can grab coffee then. And they had no clue that we weren't just in Los Angeles. After pandemic, though, we got a big boost, and we were working with more international clients than we had ever worked with. Some of that was because video production was at a halt, and I think part of that too was half the industry quit to sell NFTs, and so we got those phone calls from their clients, and so we definitely had a big boom coming out of COVID, and then it's kind of slowly trickled down. But I would say what's interesting for us is we continue to land bigger projects, bigger budgets, and things that I'm really excited about. But I have noticed that smaller to medium projects are almost disappearing, and I don't know if it's just because people don't want to hit us up with those, or if those projects are being done in-house, or if those projects are being done with AI. But that's a big thing I've noticed over the last 2 or 3 years, and I might be jumping the gun in the conversation here, but that's where my head went, was kind of like the COVID boom, and then after the COVID boom, now it's like we're working with whales, and and there's big gaps in our schedules between the whales these days, which is a new thing for us. It used to be kind of like a constant trickle of small, medium, and large projects, and now it feels like it's only large projects.
Yeah. PJ,
Yeah, or you
Patrick, do
could
you
be
agree?
Yeah, I was gonna say you can be like way behind on, where you're expecting or hoping to be with revenue, and then one project can make all the difference, right? Um, because there's a lot more big projects. I think you're right. I think it's partially the influx of AI. I think it's also there's a lot more micro studios now. There's a
Mm.
lot of people who are like buddying up with, one or two other people and making these little mini studios. I know we've lost a lot of our work for people like Microsoft to a lot of these micro studios now.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. PJ, have you found that to be the case? I feel like being in LA proper, or even San Francisco, one of the big cities, especially where the film industry is so big, and a lot of big companies are there. Do you find the same are the same type of thing?
Yeah, I think so. It depends what industry it is, but I see the same pattern as Bart and Patrick with particularly with 3D with tech brands. I would say there's which we do a lot of work of and 2D as well. But there more and more there are these smaller studios and they're excellent. Don't get me wrong. I don't it's a smaller is not insinuating bad, and and the brands are very comfortable to go to them and or go to very far away places they traditionally didn't do as much unless they were like a very avant-garde section. Now they're like, oh yeah, we'll call such and such in Spain, no problem, and you're like, ah, all right, and that's and the only sort of challenge. Well, the way that that plays out for us is usually on the money side, which is they just are able to work for way less for exact same quality. And that's always existed. That's not new, but it seems like brands are leaning into that to some degree a bit more. With the film side, it's bizarre. Like we just did we I wrapped up like a 16-month film project a couple months ago, and I got to see under the hood of that side of it with like VFX and stuff. And it was most of us were LA based, including the film company and studio, but they were going to like the farthest corners of the planet for VFX, and they were transparent with us where they were like, "Hey, they're great, good enough. Let's just say great, maybe questionably, but they just worked for pennies on the dollar." And the film VFX culture was one that they were happy to just grind it out for less, way less, until they got what they were wanted. And it was often a really bumpy road, but they were happy with that process. Where I was like, well, wouldn't you like to just pay more and have it be smooth? And they were like, not really.
Yeah,
So I
interesting.
was
That brings up an interesting point, especially with the filmmaking industry and stuff like that. I'm not sure if I'm sure the three of you saw this, but Perception shut down officially a couple weeks ago. And I know a lot of their work was in the film industry doing stuff for Marvel and stuff like that. I'd love to hear any of y'all's thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think 25 years is a really long time. There's no shame to shutting down. It's probably a welcomed decision at 25
yeah.
to shut down. So I don't think it has to be like ooh like what happened. I think it's like no, 25 years happened. It's time to cut it unless you're selling it or handing it over to somebody else.
I think it's always been a tight thing, like having worked in film. It's an industry that runs on really tight margins and
Yeah.
long-term planning, right? And it's so hard to like line up those projects, especially when they extend, trying to staff up and staff down. Like it's never been an industry that had built in a lot of buffer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they ride pretty close to the edge unless you're like a massive, massive studio that can absorb giant losses, for periods of time. And I mean, there's been a lot of companies that have struggled over the last couple of years, and a lot of VFX freelancers have hit the market
Mm-hmm.
because of that.
Yeah.
We ran into the exact same thing that I was going to say exactly what Patrick just said. It's just the asks are so much more robust and fairly loosely planned, and the margins are and budgets are so much smaller that you're kind of walking a tightrope most of the time with those projects. So, frankly, it's kind of surprising they don't go off the rails or more often, from our experience at least.
I'm assuming that's why they're much more interested in outsourcing, like you were talking about.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just because it's cheaper. It's sort of like eh, I don't. It sounds so much. I don't. I'm not normally the cynical, or I don't believe like feel this in my heart. But you're kind of like they're sort of like who's still enthusiastic about this and willing to go for the ride. Is kind of what it felt like because get your ass kicked pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah, I mean the industry of like to be a little more positive, and not that you're not being that, Jay.
Yeah.
I mean the industry abroad is younger, right? And
Yeah.
I mean it's growing up really fast, so they can do some pretty advanced things. But being in VFX for a while, like the reason I left was I loved that you'd get these amazing challenges, and it was all basically pure creative. Like you're very much about like entertaining people with a spectacle, which was amazing. So you design this really cool effect, and you do like the first couple of shots, and you're super into it. And you've got like 40 more of the same shots to do, and it became a little bit mind-numbing. And for some, for studios that are more expensive, it's like, okay, we could either bring on juniors to do this, or we can outsource it, so they'll keep some of the high level creative in house, and then just you need to farm out the rest, right? So it's like an economies of scale thing that, kind of makes sense.
The economy, that's exactly, the economy of it's not favorable, but I will say like being in the trenches and just like from a creative and like technical nerd out perspective, it's like, I mean, it doesn't get better like on those types of projects because you're just playing, like iterating, experimenting, and like everybody's in on it. And so it's amazing on that side.
Uh,
I remember in TV marketing, I remember being asked like, you would say, oh, we need motion control, and we're gonna need like some pyro over here, and they're like, well, we can give you like poor man's motion control, and maybe we can fake it with a little smoke plate or something. But in a film, you're like, yeah, we need some explosions, and we need a crane, and you get like a 200-foot crane. They're like, sure. And then you get like pyrotechnics for an hour that like you blow up a parking lot, and so that kind of stuff. It's like the scale that you get to is super exciting as an artist.
I'm curious about the freelance market and how y'all see it as studio owners, because I'm very close with a lot of the people, a lot of freelancers in the industry, and I've seen a serious downturn in work for them. I'm curious, as studio owners, are y'all still bringing in freelancers to help work on projects, or are you mostly doing everything in-house now? I'll let anyone take that first one.
We use tons of freelancers.
Yeah, so do we.
Yeah.
I think our staff to freelancer ratio, though, has gone up a bit on the staff side of it. The freelance pool, there's a lot of work to bring in freelancers. I'm sure you guys will agree. There's a great reason for it. And it's almost like you need to live on that sweet spot of like, a certain amount of freelancers to bring in the specialization, to bring in some fresh perspectives, fresh ideas, to push people a little bit. But if you have too many, there's a lot of management of like holds and a lot of uncertainty as you're staffing up for projects of like, are we going to get this person or not? Are we going to be able to fill it in with our local people? So we also found that slotting people into the workflow can sometimes be a little bit of work that isn't really factored in the budgeting process. So we were, I would think, pretty heavily invested in freelancers coming out of COVID for a bit. And then we staffed up a little bit more. And I think we're moving a bit more towards staff or juniors or intermediates that we grow from within, because they just sort of learn the pipeline, and slotting them in becomes more efficient,
And do you have people that you're hitting up regularly? This is something that Barton and I have talked about, because, as I know, Barton, you like to hire staff. It's not often that you use freelancers. you know,
Yeah.
and we've talked about this where it's like, if you're using freelancers and you've got a specific job or a specific look that you're trying to achieve, and you know that one specific, you know, freelancer would be great at it, but they're unavailable, how do you deal with that? PJ or Patrick or Barton, anyone?
Oh, I mean, we have a tremendous amount of resourcing uh, teammates that spend countless hours, you know, scouring the internet for.
Mhm.
And well, we have a pretty deep Airtable database set up that we track with, that we go to first. But yeah, we spend a lot of time and energy uh, on artists and tracking them down and figuring out who to pair with what. But our challenge is very similar to what Patrick was describing too, where we actually got a lot more specific about our pipeline, but at the same time we also lose it. I'd say probably a day on any given artist on any given project, getting them all the stuff installed, teaching them our pipeline and our folder structure and all that. So it makes us we would do this anyways, but it makes us lean towards our go-tos as much as possible. And you know, we have to play the whole game system thing that drives everybody crazy,
Mhm.
and we do it as best as we can. But and you know, so that's really it. I think one of the challenges that I see, I'm not a freelancer, so I can't fully say this in earnest, but what it looks like is there's also just a lot more artists that are able to do this type of work than there had previously in the past. And the basic economics of it is just that there's only a finite amount of work, I think, and way more people to do it. So it makes it trickier but also there's a ton more work too because of social media and stuff. I don't know.
Mhm.
So it's but those are the kinds of things that we see. I will say, like, this is not the industry standard, but it's just ours at Laundry. But we lean a lot more towards specialists than generalists too, just because we have very specific tasks that we need to bring in, and we, even if they're more expensive, we actually save money because of the specific expertise most of the time.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Patrick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, we have a similar setup to PJ. Very, very deep roster of freelance connections. Lots of people that we meet out and about at various conferences and so on, and many people we've worked with for years. So yeah, we keep ourselves like pretty high on the hold list for a lot of our favorite people, so they do slot in. There's a lot of people that slot in like staff with us now.
Mhm.
Um, so if we can get those folks in, that always works out better. But there's so many new people popping up all the time, so many exciting tools. So um, and tutorials. It's so much easier for people to really dig in and learn some of this stuff. That yeah, there's always great, fresh, new talent, but they do take some time. So it's a bit of a trade-off there, right?
How do you, when you're scouting out talent, how do you separate the cool Instagram artists to from the ones who can actually finish a job?
You blow about 4 or 5 days of paying their day rate, and then you realize
Sounds about right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky that I've got, I mean, there's four of us, four of the founders are artists. So we have four people kind of looking at the different talent as much as possible. And sorry, I didn't mean to shut you out there, PJ.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of eyes on it. You get a sense of like, does this look like all tutorial work or
Mm.
not? Also, I mean, I gotta say, like the pedigree of who people have worked for also can cue us up. So one of the beautiful things is there's lots of people we work with regularly who will recommend people to us. So that gives us a good in.
Cool.
Or we might see that they've, done some projects with Already Been Chewed or Laundry and be like, oh, okay, I know those guys are legit. So um, And hopefully they've used a few companies. If you just see them with one, then you're like, But we have been burned, so I can't say that it hasn't happened to us. But yeah, that's kind of how we try and do it.
Go ahead, Barton. You were going to say something?
Yeah, my take has been different on the freelancing, mainly because of I think like the way I describe it is like, have you ever worked with a client and it's easy to get, you know, 6 figures approved, but it's like almost breaks the relationship to try and get an extra $1,000 in overages approved. You know, and so that's kind of how I feel. Like I would much rather like have someone on staff knowing that they're going to have misses throughout the year, but they're also going to hit home runs throughout the year. It's just so painful to pay that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days of a day rate and then realize, oh, geez, my in-house guy would have done this in 5 days. This person needs 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's just so painful for me. So I've always gone the route of like freelance in hopes to hire, and then basically I'm building creative briefs around who we have internally, what I know they're capable of. Just because that just sounds so stressful to me to like have this amazing idea for a creative brief and then hope that a producer can find someone to pull off my ideas for me. I'm a big basketball guy, so I just can't imagine LeBron James going into the NBA Finals and playing with people that he's never played with before, and trying to win a championship that way. So I like to keep our team smaller. They've played together. They know to go stand in the corner when LeBron drives to the basket so that he can pass it to the corner guy, you know? And for me, it's just a level of sleep I can't lose, wondering if the team we assembled is going to pull this off.
Yeah, and I will say, you know, having worked at ABC, working at ABC, that creates a really tight knit group of people, you know, because you're not constantly having the freelancers come in and out. I noticed at the 15-year anniversary party last year, all the employees were hanging out together instead of often mingling and stuff. It was really cool seeing everyone, and it's kind of like that camaraderie that you create, you know, with that is really cool to see. Andy in the chat was asking, what quality do you guys value most from a freelancer? When you're looking for a freelancer, what are you looking for? What do you value?
I mean, obviously dependability, availability are like key. You know, someone that's got an amazing portfolio, but you haven't seen them post any of their work in the last 2 weeks is like, that's not very helpful, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I like, we look for a lot of different people for different reasons, depending on what we're bringing them in for. But the thing that gets me the most excited, I think that gets us the most excited, is like creative courage.
Okay.
You know, like I've had people come in who have tried to do, you know, very courageous things that haven't worked out, and then they're very self-conscious and like, you know, I'm sorry. And it's like, you know what, I'm still going to call you again because, you know, we're always trying to push, like every brief is like, we want this, only newer and different, and you've never seen it before. So we need people that aren't afraid to push that box, to push beyond like the same stuff that's on all of our Instagram feeds. So I think that is like that, like that's the diamond in the rough that I'm always looking for.
I'd say the same, and we don't find it often, I will say, but that it's framing it similarly is Frederick, the proactivity. I think I'd say one of the things we're running into on the opposite side of that is we'll give an assignment or set a goal, and we'll just get like, you know, one test back, and you're like, great, but what about the other 5 hours today? Like keep pushing, and challenge us. Like we have dialogues where we open it up. Even like I was on a daily today, and there was artists to producer to creative director. Everybody had input and throwing out ideas and variations, and that was kind of the healthy dynamic that we want our artists to come at it with, and because it's just better work comes out of it. I'd say for me, what we also look for is consistency, and you can kind of spot it. Like if you look at a portfolio and they do a particular thing or few sets of things very, very well over and over and over, that usually, and I haven't worked with them, I can probably pinpoint that I'll know that there's some reliability there. It's, the artists that are doing, 3D and 2D and cell and editing and all these different things, and you can just you're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to get here. It makes me a little more nervous. And then
Yeah.
it kind of separates into two categories, and in the best cases they come back together, but it's either usually the nuance of a particular style that we need that's very current, or the technical side of it. A great example would be some Houdini sim thing or whatever. You're like, okay, great, I can game on, come on down. And in perfect cases,
Barton has a
it's
big
both.
answer for
Yeah.
us, PJ.
Yeah,
He's got
I'll
something
take
big to say.
I'll take that as my cue. Tell us everything, Barton.
I'm
I
working
feel
on
like you're
it. I'm working
visually
on it.
yelling at us.
There we go. Yeah, I was gonna ask, as I'm fixing this, most triumphant in the chat asked a really cool question, and I kind of had this on my notes as well. Curious what work y'all have seen lately not done by your own studio that impressed you, and why. My question was going to be along the same lines of, are there any software or design trends that y'all have seen lately that you're like, oh, this is the future, this is really cool, I know we're going to see a whole lot of this over the next couple of years?
I mean, for me, I'm always looking at Laundry and Tendril and their work. That's why I was excited to have them come on here, being inspired by other people in the industry and what they're doing is awesome. But to be honest, I mean, I think this is kind of maybe the obvious answer, but I'm really looking at AI right now, because I think right now what I'm seeing in AI is people who can't do visual effects or 3D animation are excited because they might be able to do it via AI. But what I want to see is, what can we do with AI that we can't currently do with Houdini, with Cinema 4D, with Maya? I want to see creativity go to a new level with AI, where we're looking at it and we're saying, oh yeah, we can't do that in Houdini. Like, we're gonna have to use AI to do that, and whatever that was awesome. So
Or in
I'm
conjunction,
hoping,
right? Like in
Yeah.
conjunction with like, what can we do with Houdini and AI together that neither one of them can do alone?
exactly.
If you were to look at LinkedIn, it would say the dead opposite, but that's what we're seeing trend is departing from this like purist mentality of like team AI or not team AI or team, like you have to pick a lane, where when it all smashes together, which is like 99% of the time when we're using AI, is when interesting intersections happen. And I think that's definitely the future.
Are
I don't
there
know, something like gets me excited. Like I can't even name the piece. I just saw sort of a reel of it, but I like a lot of the like more kind of, I wouldn't even call it experimental, but say more experimental than usual, like builders clubs doing a lot of stuff that I really like, because of how like kind of raw but polished it is.
Yeah.
And then integrating, I guess you'd call it VFX or maybe not, but like mixing 3D and live action footage and but blurring what any of that is really interesting to me. More personal preference wise.
Yeah, those guys are really courageous. I mean, having them as part of Forever and getting to know them a lot better and hear about their process, like a lot of courage to just try crazy stuff. And a lot of it doesn't work, but a lot of it comes out really interesting. Like some of that stuff they were doing for Nike and the upcoming Olympics and things like that was really really cool, and really like a good smart use of, it's not AI for AI's sake. You start to lose you start to lose where did the AI end and where did, CGI begin. And I think if you can't tell whether there was AI used or not, then I think you've done a good job.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I just thought it was cool, and it's exactly. I was gravitating towards the courage of it, just because it's so easy, even for clients, to go to like, well, let's just say for 3D for this conversation, but some sort of trendy tutorial-esque route, and you're like, feels a little safe, and it's already been done a million times. Like so. Also, like surprising. Maybe I'm just more aware of it than usual, and it's always there. But it seems like branding is having a big surge right now that we're seeing, whether it's 2D or 3D or otherwise. But that just could be my world.
I wonder if this is the bigger thing you're talking about with the bigger projects. Like we're seeing a lot more stuff that where people are interested in systems versus like a one-off campaign or a one-off spot. We almost never do like, let's just do an anthem film. It's like, no, an anthem film that has these pieces that's part of the brand language for the next year. And what are the principles and the rules associated with it? Like, and that makes the projects a lot bigger, but brings a lot more thinking to it, right? A lot more bigger strategy for the brand.
We're seeing a lot of that for sure.
What are y'all actively using a lot of AI tools in your day-to-day processes and stuff? And if so, which tools are y'all using? If you can talk about it.
I mean, I use them every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in the process of building internal systems so that we don't have to use, cloud systems or anything like that. So we've been building internal systems, but also using, the things that are available for free and cheap and Higgsfield and stuff like that. Trying all of those. But yeah, to what Patrick and PJ mentioned earlier, I think that's what's going to be exciting is when we're incorporating Houdini plus AI and things like that in this similar pipeline. I'm excited to see like kind of like the next level of creativity that comes from it, versus like visual effects artists are out of work. Hollywood is going to crap. All these bait things.
Does it worry y'all that with the, heavy adoption of AI, that, it's going to be a race to the bottom for budgets?
It just hasn't played out like that at all. Everybody keeps talking about that like in more community or social settings, but like I can tell you with tried and tested journeys going down that road, it like CMOs will say it, yeah, we want it 5% of the budget 5% of the time, but usually it's, if you're lucky, it might save a little bit of time, but it's usually equal or more in both time and money. It's really kind of playing out like it's more like just a different paintbrush to try out as a choice, not a replacement of anything. Tends to be how we're seeing it. Like I have a project right now it's literally start to finish, top to bottom, all AI animation. Got through all the legal clearances and all that, but it's just only because it's a preference for a very specific story and message, not because of anything. It's not replacing anything. Tomorrow we'll work with the same client on a MoGraph thing because that makes more sense.
I was gonna say, how are your clients reacting to it? Like, are some of them asking for it, or are some of them more hesitant and being like, no, we need to put a strict kibosh on no AI specifically for this project?
I mean, every variation from either side of it. There's that's why it's not that's why I'm not worried about it. Usually it's just a negotiation, like legally.
There's both edges of the spectrum. We have clients who are like absolutely no AI at all. And I think that's kind of an interesting positive spin that's happening right now is like, craft is kind of the new luxury, right? Like it says something if it's, like Apple did it, right? With the glass,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, I'm not going to say that that's the client, but that's a client that is all about like putting that value in the human side of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have other clients that are like heavily into AI, like L'Oreal is a client that we have done a ton of work with, and they're really doubling down. They've done deals with NVIDIA. They
Mm-hmm.
got their own in-house studio. Like, so it's all over the map right now.
We did have a client that kept dropping their budgets on us, and then they kept saying, "Well, can't you just do something with AI?" And we ended up having a talk with them, and they were actually kind of early to the AI bandwagon, so this was actually a couple years ago, and we ended up having a talk with them, and we said, "Hey, you realize like your competitors are coming to us and wanting to work with us to see if we can do for them what we do for you, and you're looking at their kind of cheaper, lower budget social media posts, and you're coming to us and saying, hey, instead of all the really nice stuff you've been doing, can you do faster, cheaper AI stuff like our competitors are doing?" And so we explained that to them. I don't know if that went over well because we didn't hear from them for like a year after that. uh, but then all of a sudden, it was literally like a year later, they came back and they had probably 4 to 5 times their budget to start working with us again. And so it's just a really kind of unusual situation. And so they had proper budgets and they didn't, insist on trying to make it work with AI. And we've worked with them quite a bit since that happened. But that was kind of a good story there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've hit on it. Like, I'm actually really optimistic, and this has been a
Yeah.
shift for me. The end of last year, beginning of this year, I feel like I'm starting to see the path forward. And I think, anybody listening who's like feeling unsure about like the industry as relates to AI or whatever else they feel like is happening in it, is it's uncomfortable right now. But when it's uncomfortable, we're forced to change.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a change that's going on. And now we're starting to see, okay, that this really is a tool that we can wield. And when we wield it with the experience of years of design training, with years of
Mm-hmm.
hacking it out and knowing what elements to change and not change. And we can do a better job than just a random prompter,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you get good enough from a
Mm-hmm.
prompt, and that's shocking. And you think, gosh, okay, what do we need these guys for? But to get exceptional, you still need somebody who's been in it every day, obsessed about the pixels and the meaning and the purpose of every decision. And I think that's going to start to come through as we learn the tools more. But it's going to be a tumultuous time, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
be prepared for a bumpy ride. We're going to fight over low budgets as people are like, look, they're doing it way cheaper. And then, like what happened to you, Barton, they're going to start to see like who's standing out from the crowd. Well, it's the people who are working with already been chewed and getting this totally unique take on something, right? And I think we just got to, in a way, like ride the wave. Like, remember when Unreal came in, when real-time
Mm-hmm.
rendering, GPU rendering came in, it was like, now there's guys in their basement, they can do what we do. Well, they can't really, and I think that it's going to feel like that for the next little while, but I'm starting to feel it. It sounds like I'm getting the same story from PJ and Barton here. Starting to see how we do things a little differently than than maybe sort of the AI community at large. That's just all about the tech of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of pretty hilarious. We get calls multiple times a week from brands or agencies that went with some new AI agency, got it the usual 60% of the way there, wasn't good enough. They couldn't fix it. Can we fix it? And we're like, yeah, no, why do we want just sloppy seconds? Like it's and there's that part of it. And then something Patrick just said is something we're encountering that I think is really important is to building on that example is that many people can get pretty good, not great, but a very, very small percentage can get it to that 100%. And
Mm-hmm.
it's ironic because for us, it's the same people that it always is without AI. It's our technical directors that get it that last bit that makes it great. And then there's the whole, I feel like it's even overcooked at this point, but then the whole taste thing is hugely crucial to this push with AI to not, and it's just such a shiny object metaphorically that everybody gets sucked down and kind of abandons their creative values and principles for, even really some of the best in the world. And you're like, no, it still has to have the essence of story or brand or
Mm-hmm.
and the taste that goes with that. But
Mhm.
so I'm with Patrick and Barton. It's just kind of a crazy time, but it feels like it's kind of leveling out a bit.
Yeah. Barton, you were going to say something?
I was gonna ask, are you guys using Unreal much currently?
Sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
not as much as we thought we would be, but it's definitely we've always got a project or two on the go in it.
yeah, us too.
We're doing one
Same.
for the Sphere right now, which we're doing largely in Unreal, which is pretty cool. This is actually a great AI story too. Um, it's for Fish, the Fish tour that's going to be
Hmm.
happening in the Sphere for all you fish heads out there. But so a great example, like we had one of our artists sketched up um, something. I can't talk about what it is. Sketched up, did a little drawing sketch, and then one of our other artists, an amazing 3D designer, took it and then like pushed it through AI a bunch of times to see what it could look like in 3D. Uh, got it kind of what she was happy with, and then got 3D to do multiple views of it from different angles, and then got it to generate a 3D model, which she then took into
Mm.
ZBrush and turned into an amazing 3D model turned it around the whole thing in like a couple of days. And she had like a ready to go asset for us to like clean up and rig. And it sped up the process, first the design process and approval process so quickly,
Mm-hmm.
right? To go from this sketch and they're like, what will it look like in 3D? And you're like, well, here are some options. What do we think of
Yeah.
them? So many options, and you can go through and pick and whatever, right? Like that whole ideation process. And this was all done by very seasoned senior designers who like knew how to create something else in 3D and feed it to it, to give it a layout of a background and all this
Mm-hmm.
other stuff, right? So
You know,
That's actually
yeah.
been really fun for our team as we've been learning and pushing AI together, is to see how like it really is based off of the creative and the person that's using the AI. Um, and so to give you an example, like we've got incredible modelers on staff, and when they jump in and they use AI, like they're doing stuff that I would never do with AI, and it's from their perspective, from a modeling perspective, and they're getting these insane, models created, approved before they actually go develop it. And it's like, I never would have been able to prompt that to get it to do things. And then, on the flip side, like I'll show Matt something and Matt's like, how do you get it to look so good?
Yeah. I say that all
He's
the
like,
time.
and so it's like even when I think when you use AI, it's gonna feel like you and like you're creative that you would normally do anyway. It'll just be interesting to see what the next generation that comes up that doesn't already have that voice, and what's their expression look like through AI for the 22-year-old that's never going to take the time to learn Houdini.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's going to happen. Like I actually kind of wonder, are we the last of this generation that's going to be doing this? Because we've got young guys on our staff that have even asked me, should I even bother continuing to learn Houdini, or should I just be prompting stuff on AI? And it's like, no, you definitely keep learning. Yeah, but I think it'll be interesting to see if, a 17-year-old right now, 5 years from now, will it be strictly prompt based, or because they might not even have the ability to combine Houdini with
Mm-hmm.
AI or other software with AI.
That's the part I'm so excited about, because it's like the I guess it's sort of both cultural and creative, but the things that are going to get smashed together when you don't know anything else but AI are going to be so imaginative. It's like it's impossible that it won't be. Like there'll be a
Yeah.
ton of slop, like when YouTube came out, it's killing film or whatever, and you're like, no, there's just a big old server of garbage, but there's some gems in there too, and I
Yeah,
think it's going
yeah.
to be the same, and that's so cool. Like it'll be just, I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I also had an interview with a creative technologist, young guy, you know, about a year out of school, like deep into AI and Comfy UI and you know, linking up things in really interesting ways. But he was teaching himself Blender because he wanted to be able to feed it in different control nets. He wanted to
Mm.
like have more control for like creating depth maps and things like that. So it's almost like driving it the other way, where he's like, I can control it better if I could lay out a bunch of spheres in 3D space, do a camera move on that, feed that in for the camera motion. So he was like driven to learn the 3D software because of his experience just with prompting and the limits of it.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's where I want AI to get, is where I can create just a couple spheres or like put a kind of crappy model in there, do my camera moves and say, okay, reskin this, make this look the way I want using the same camera moves and stuff. That's what I want.
Oh, we're doing that right now. Like it's totally there. Like we do that all the time, and it's both for pitching and iteration, and then sometimes production, which is cool. You
Yeah.
get to you can. It's a little more, yeah. I don't know. I like that part of it. It's very
Yeah.
fluid.
Let me ask y'all this, because, as studio owners, I can see y'all's side on AI and implementing it into your systems and stuff like that. How do you juggle employees who are maybe a bit more worried about AI taking their jobs? Or are all your employees just on board?
No, definitely not. There, we have some naysayers, uh, and that's okay. That's I don't know. I think we have a pretty understanding and caring culture from the top down. I feel like I'm like in a corporate event, with the coffee cup saying it, but we do, and we don't push it on anybody that doesn't want to, um and look, at the end of the day, like while we use piles of AI stuff, we have a humongous amount of projects that incorporate it in zero form or
Mm,
shape, and artists are happily working on that. That work doesn't seem to be going away. So, um,
Patrick?
Yeah, ours
Yeah.
we have resistors in studio as well. We have some very rousing debates about it. I think everybody has accepted that it has a place. I think the debates are becoming more about what is that place. And there's the fear is around like, will people be able to differentiate and appreciate it? But like I said, the optimism is rising. Like I feel less and less people in the studio afraid of losing their jobs, and certainly no one has, or I
Mm-hmm.
don't foresee anyone losing their jobs with us to AI anytime soon. The bigger challenge for us, I think, is getting people who are like really seasoned artists to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Some really embrace it. In fact, more the juniors embrace it. A lot of the seniors, I think you know, it's really hard to be like, I'm really good and efficient here. And here I'm like struggling,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And why would I do this when I could do this? Um, so that's almost a harder conversation right now, I think.
I always say this, but it's just so true. Also, for us, at least, AI is like saying sports. Like it could be like and so many different things. You know what I mean? And but there's this like fear from more than from a lot of people that it's going to take their jobs. But then, like in full, like suddenly Mid Journey is going to put graphic designer out of the job, which in no way, shape, or form I see happening. But it usually is so terrifying that a lot of people don't take that step, but then someone like a TD or something will show some little AI enhancer and something or another and show it to an artist that might have been scared, and they're like, oh, that's not artistically going to question your integrity or take your job in any way, but it's certainly going to help you roto faster. And then you can just see all of a sudden they're like, whoa, all right, let me wait a second. And like those types of little moments happen so frequently that, and so it's I don't know, it's just something that comes up.
I think one of the challenges for us as we've been implementing AI is like, are the team going to look at me and think like I'm clueless? I just think AI is going to solve all these problems, or be able to do what all these Instagram posts claim that can do. And so it has been kind of a sensitive subject to get people on board. And as a studio owner, to be honest, I've lost a lot of sleep wondering if the team would get on board. Because if they don't get on board, I know what that ultimately means for the future of the studio.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
it's been like a sensitive subject to make sure like, hey, this can be a benefit to you. Don't be threatened by it. But more so know that if you have hung your hat on the ability to be technical, it might be threatening you to a certain degree. And so you've got to be proud of and confident in the way that only you can think and use the AI to help you do your job. And I think we're getting catapulted into situations where we kind of have to use AI. So some of the clients we're working with, like we're having to show them 30 to 50 different concepts.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been an easy conversation to like talk to the team and be like, hey, use AI for this. We'll take the time to learn AI to be able to do this because there's no way you can jump in and model, design, texture, light, 30 to 40 different options for the client.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's take this week, try different workflows, try different AI workflows, see what you can come up with. And I think people have started really, seeing that it is and can be super beneficial. And that creative process can be super fun at that point. And it's like, aren't you glad AI was there so that you didn't have to like do 30 to 40 different versions of this thing? And then once we get a decision, then we'll actually go make it.
Yeah. Yeah. 30 or 40 different versions that you had to make, and then most of them get thrown away.
Oh yeah.
But that happens for us anyways.
Yeah.
We like in our earlier in our career at us at the studio where we would do 20 or 30 design sets for a particular pitch, and obviously you only get to choose one, so it's not particularly new. One of the things that I'm noticing that we run into too, and I can't put these words into AI naysayers mouths, but I think we think or see that there's a fear of AI, but what I feel like what comes up a lot is that there's really more of a fear of the workflow because it has so many different tools at any given
Mm-hmm.
time. And a lot of our artists are like kind of their identities are set on I'm a Blender artist, I'm a C4D artist. There's sort of a purist
Yeah.
positioning. And so I can see how it would be. And even for me, like I take like 3 weeks off because I'm working on business stuff, and then all of a sudden I'm like, where do I even begin with AI stuff? And so I feel
Because
like
it's
there's
all
some
different three
version.
weeks later.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like
Yep.
it's literally the nature of it, but it's super hacky. Like you like on on even our all AI projects, like we're definitely on any given shot combining and photo bashing 4 different AI stills tools, multiple AI video stuff. Like it's not like one place, press go. It just
Yep.
and it's just a different thinking.
Yep.
Interesting.
I've actually like from a creative director standpoint, I'm loving it. Because one of the hardest things to transition out of in my career has been to actually move off of the box and not jump in and do things, and learning that okay, on a Saturday night, if I have all these other employees but I'm up here trying to quote unquote save the project, I'm doing this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so transitioning out of that, and then before AI, that transition is happening, and it's like, okay, how do I how do I communicate without just jumping into someone else's files and doing it myself? and that becomes really awkward. And so right now, I'm loving it because I've got all these different AI things up on my screen, and I'm prompting and generating on this one, prompting and generating on this one, jumping together and mashing them up in Photoshop, like PJ said. And next thing you know, I went through the 30 to 40 things that I liked or didn't like, so that by the time I'm sharing a creative brief with either the client or the team, they don't have to they don't have to stay late nights going through that process with me. I can show them, so no, I actually really liked the lighting in this one. I really liked the texturing in this one. So use that as your source of inspiration. So I've been loving that as a creative director, to be able to do that.
Also, the ability that you've had in order to, like, say we'll do a render or something, being able to draw on the frame and then take it into Nano Banana and say, okay, put this, and being able to show us as examples, this is what I want to see, or add this here, you know, what if we got some more lighting here or something like that, has been very helpful as an artist. Are there any specific AI tools that y'all are using or have just been introduced that you're really excited about? I know me, for example, and a couple of the other guys at ABC, we've been playing around with the Otoy Canvas, and it's very similar to like Weavy AI, where it's a node-based system, and I feel like a lot of the Houdini artists get that workflow and stuff. It's something that I know we have used a fair amount. Are there any tools that y'all have used where you're just like, oh, this is the future. This pipeline works really well?
If I give you an answer today, it'll change by tomorrow.
It's gonna, I think somebody made that comment in the chat too. It'll be different in a couple of weeks. But I think it's the idea of a node-based system. Coffey was the first. I'm using Kriya a lot because they have a node-based thing now. Being able to feed multiple inputs, pull in sketches, weight things differently, custom LoRa's, like simplifying that and making like a really, nice workflow of modular tools. We're going to jump around until something emerges, but it's going to be something like that.
Yeah, we're the exact same. All the same tools you guys mentioned, Weavy, Kriya, all the video and still models that trickle down from both is kind of our sandbox. We played with I forget what it's called something else, but Autodesk Flow, where we were doing the like prompting turn CGI, turn tracking skeleton and all that stuff, it was kind of like any other AI tool. It didn't get us all the way there, but it was pretty cool where it got us to, and then we went in composite and all that. Funny thing with AI is we just about every project we end it all with a flame session where we do cleanup and nothing related to AI. It's sort of like our finishing process to get that last, get all the little, the 6-finger thing and all that stuff kind of sorted out.
Yeah, there's always some cleanup, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. All right.
I think my favorite one to say right now is Nano Banana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I'm using a lot of Nano Banana, and I smile every time I use it.
I know.
That's funny. All right, I got one last question for y'all before we head out. And it's kind of a fun one. It's interesting to see that like the three of y'all all get, as studio owners, you all get along so well. You've known each other for so long, but you're all bidding on the same jobs. I think I've asked I asked Aaron Sorofsky this one time when we had John Lepore on, and it's like they're still friends, but they're all still bidding on the same jobs. Does that ever become a worry?
I think it's coming from the skateboard background, there's competitions in skateboarding, but at the end of the day, you're just blown away and amazed by the tricks somebody did down a handrail, And so when I'm looking at Laundry or Tendril or any of these other studios that are like, competitors, it's just so much admiration for the work that they're doing. So yeah, is there like deep down like some competition? Sure, but more so than the competition, it's like if we lose a project to them, it's like, oh well, who cares? Like I would have gone with them.
There's
too.
no shame in losing to you guys.
Yeah.
I like that.
I actually, honestly, I don't think I can't remember. We haven't competed against each other. I don't, at least that I'm aware of, any time recently or often. Just because I think the nuance of studios is that there's probably categories, but they do different things, and brands or agencies need different things.
Yeah.
So it's easy to have a love fest. I'm like, oh yeah.
I mean,
Not our arch enemies. There's no arch enemies on this call.
Yeah.
We married
would
our
love
arch enemy.
to know Patrick.
In future to left.
Well,
Love,
played.
hate those guys.
Yeah.
No, honestly, like you're in the industry for so long. We all love what we do. I mean, everything I see by our competitors pushes us. It's always tough to lose. The better I know somebody, the harder it is to lose to them. The more I get up for like we lost to Houston Texans thanks to Barton a while ago. But also I'm like, of course, and excited to see what they do with it. So it just pushes everybody further. And there's so many, we're all similar in a certain way. We love our art. We come to work every day trying to learn and grow. And I think that's a beautiful thing about this industry, right? Is there's so much overlap, so much camaraderie, and it's like a positive competitiveness,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's for me. I for a very long time I did the quiet, don't look at anybody or anything, or no one pitching against thing, and sort of stay in the dark. But once I stepped out from under the rock, it pushed me to be better creatively, and not out of fear, out of enthusiasm. So I'll see what these guys are making. I mean, pretty much everything Tendril makes, and I'm like, oh shit, all right, I gotta, hell yeah, let's go. And Barton and the team with that Nike stuff I was obsessed with. It's just all right, because if you don't get excited about something, you go the opposite direction and you start not caring about anything, and then it's downhill quick,
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for all coming together and being on the show. It's been awesome and very eye-opening. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. Starting with Barton, where can people find you guys online if they're looking for your work, if they want to check out the studios?
Yeah, I think Instagram's probably where we put the most time and attention. And so already been chewed.
Awesome. PJ?
Same, laundry underscore studios on Instagram, or you can hit me up on LinkedIn.
Patrick?
Yeah, and Tendril Studio on Instagram, probably the best bet. Or tendril.studio is our website. It's always lags a bit behind up there though.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining. And thanks for everyone in the chat who was watching live. Make sure to follow MoGraph on all the socials, especially YouTube and Twitch. Thursday nights are our weekly MoGraph Hangouts. So we do the live stream on Tuesdays, and then we do the MoGraph Hangouts, where it's a weekly free-for-all where we explore all things MoGraph, video games, Houdini, Blender, and more. Those are Thursday nights around 7 p.m. Central Time. And we've got a bunch of really fun guests coming up in the next few weeks. Also, if you haven't done it already, make sure to sign up for your very own MoGraph.com account. It's a one-stop shop for everything a motion designer needs. Showcase your demo reel, projects you've worked on, post jobs, apply for jobs, sell your digital goods, find meetup groups, or start one of your own, and so much more is planned. We just hit over 1,100 members, and we are growing every day. So we're an artist-first site where your work will always be yours and never be fed to the AI machine or the algorithms or and no ads. So make sure to sign up. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. I am Matt, and he is Barton, and he is PJ, and he is Patrick. And thanks y'all so much. We'll see ya later, yo.
Thank you guys.
Thanks everybody. That was fun.
pretty good, I guess.